The enveloped sun was just beginning to set behind the studio lot, casting a soft orange glow across the cracked pavement. The day had been long, and Keanu Reeves walked quietly toward the exit, his black hoodie pulled low over his brow. Had finished his scenes early, not in a rush, but something in his expression said he wanted to be alone. The set behind him buzzed with leftover energy technicians packing up cables, assistants checking off call sheets, extras wandering off. In costume? But Keanu had already stepped into the shadows of the side path where the trailers lined up like silent guardians. His boots made quiet sounds as they hit the concrete. He walked slow, not because he was tired, but because he was thinking. He didn't see her at first. Ana de Armas stood just around the corner of the last trailer, holding something small and white in her hands. Her head was down, her hair loose, hiding part of her face. She wasn't wearing makeup anymore, just her own raw skin under the fading light. She looked like she had been waiting there for a while. Keanu paused when he noticed her, Ana. He said softly. She looked up. Her eyes were red, not from makeup or dust, but from something real. She didn't speak right away. She just stepped forward and handed him the envelope. "Before you go," she whispered. Keanu took it gently. The paper felt old, not wrinkled, but aged, like it had been folded and unfolded many times. There was no name on it, no message. Just a soft scent of lavender and the warmth of someone's hands. "What is this?" he asked. Ana hesitated. She looked past him toward the exit gate, like she wasn't sure if this was the right moment. "It's something I wrote," she said. "A long time ago. I didn't think I'd ever give it to anyone. But then I met you." Keanu's brow furrowed. He didn't open it. He just held it, as if it already meant something. Ana stepped back. "You don't have to read it now," she said quickly. Just take it with you if you want." Keanu nodded, once slow. Then he did something she didn't expect. He reached out and hugged her. It wasn't long, and it wasn't dramatic. It was the kind of hug that says everything without needing a single word. When he let go, she looked stunned. Not because of the hug itself, but because of what it meant. "Thank you," he said. "I will read it." And with that, he walked away, the envelope still in his hand. But what neither of them knew was that inside that folded paper was a story and a story. A truth she had kept locked away from the world. It's a moment that had changed her life, broken her and somehow rebuilt her. And now she had passed it to him. The next morning, Keanu sat in his small trailer, the envelope resting on the table. He had placed it there the night before and stared at it for hours. He didn't open it until the sun came up, and what he read shook him in a way nothing had in years. It began with a single line. "I almost quit the day I met you." Keanu leaned back slowly. The letter was handwritten, neat but unsteady. The words carried emotion that no script ever had. Ana wrote about her first audition on that same set months ago. How she had walked in wearing the wrong shoes with the wrong accent, and how one of the casting directors laughed under his breath. She wrote about how she stood in the bathroom afterward, holding the stall door, trying not to cry. She described how she had planned to walk out and never return. How she texted her agent and said, "I'm done." Then she wrote about him. How Keanu had passed her in the hallway. How he had stopped just for a second and said something so simple. "You belong here." He hadn't even looked her in the eyes when he said it. He just said it and walked on. But for Ana, it had meant everything. She wrote, "That sentence held me up when nothing else could. I never told you. Not once. But that moment changed everything." Keanu's hands were still. His chest felt tight. He closed the letter gently, placing it back in the envelope like it was something sacred outside. People were already preparing for another day of filming, but inside, Keanu sat still, the silence wrapping around him like a blanket. He had an idea that his small act of kindness had been the turning point in someone else's storm, and now he knew. He knew the weight of his words, and he knew that something more had just begun between them, something fragile, something real, something that could not be ignored. The memory returns the next few days moved fast on set, but Keanu's mind moved slow. Scenes were being shot, directors gave instructions, cameras rolled, but something inside him stayed still. He kept thinking about the letter. The words Anna had written kept echoing in his head like a soft bell. "You belong here," he had said that, without thinking. Like how you hold a door open for someone, or smile at a stranger in the rain. But now he realized that sometimes small kindness carries a weight heavier than you can see. Keanu watched Anna from a distance during the next shoot. She was different now, but not in a way most would notice. She walked with more quiet confidence, like someone who had faced a storm and found her way through. But her eyes still held something hidden. A softness mixed with a story not yet told. After the day's filming wrapped, Keanu walked over to her trailer. He didn't knock at first. He stood there, unsure. This wasn't a scene from a script. This was real. He finally took a breath and tapped twice. Anna opened the door almost right away. She looked surprised to see him. "Hey," she said. "Hey," he answered, lifting the envelope in his hand. I read it, and I looked away for a second, brushing hair behind her ear. "I was nervous you might think it was too much," she said. "Or weird?" Keanu shook his head. "It wasn't too much," he said. It was brave and honest. They stood in silence for a moment. Neither knew exactly what to say next. Finally, Keanu spoke again. "Can I ask you something?" Anna nodded. "That day," he said, "when you were going to quit, what made you stay? Is it really just that one sentence?" Nana smiled a little, but it was a sad kind of smile. "Maybe it was everything that led up to that moment," she said. All rejection, the silence, the pressure. And then in the middle of all that noise, your voice was the only one that felt real. She paused. "You didn't even know me. And still, you saw me." Keanu looked down, trying to process that. "I've had moments like that too," he said quietly. "Moments where I wanted to walk away. But someone said the right thing at the right time." Anna's eyes softened. "Who was it for you?" Keanu leaned against the doorway, thinking a teacher, he said. "When I was younger, I had just failed an audition. I thought I wasn't good enough. He told me that failure wasn't the end. It was just proof I was trying. That stuck with me." Anna nodded slowly. "Funny how we remember those voices forever." She said, "Yeah," Keanu said. "We do." A moment passed between them. It's a moment that didn't need filling. Anna stepped aside and motioned for him to come in. Inside her trailer was quiet calm. A small couch, a desk with a notebook, a photo of her family taped to the wall. Keanu sat down while Anna poured tea from a small pot. "There's more," Anna said softly, sitting across from him. "More to that story. I didn't tell you everything." Keanu leaned in slightly. "You don't have to," he said. "Only if you want to." Anna looked at her hands, then at him. "That audition wasn't just bad because of nerves or the director," she said. "Someone in the room, someone powerful, made a comment. It wasn't about my acting. It was personal, about my accent, about my background." Keanu's jaw tightened. "What did they say?" "They said I sounded like someone who should be working in the kitchen, not standing on a stage." Keanu stared at her, shocked. "That's awful," he said. "I'm so sorry." Anna shrugged, but her eyes shimmered. "I wanted to leave. Almost did. But then you passed by and said what you said. It felt like the world wasn't completely ugly." Keanu didn't speak for a long moment. He just sat there, letting the weight of her story sink in. "I don't even remember saying it," he said finally. "But I'm glad I did." Anna smiled, but it was a sad smile again. "I think we remember different things when we're hurting." She said, "You gave me a thread to hold on to. Maybe you didn't know, but that thread pulled me back." Keanu looked down at the envelope again, placed it gently on the table between them. "I think you should write more," he said. "Voice matters." Anna looked surprised. "Right, yes," he said. "Share more stories, not just in acting, but from your heart. People need to hear what you've been through, how you got through it." Anna looked at the notebook on her desk. "I used to write a lot," she said, "before the auditions, before everything got so loud." Keanu stood. "Maybe it's time to go back to it," he said. "Your silence helped you survive." but your voice could help someone else. Anna looked at him, eyes wide. You really think that? Keanu gave a gentle nod. I know that. As he turned to leave, Anna called out softly, Keanu, turned back. Thank you for not just being kind once, but for showing up again. Keanu smiled. Anytime. And with that, he stepped out into the warm evening, the door closing gently. Behind him, but inside, Anna sat at her desk, opened her notebook, for the first time in years, began to write again. And that small act, too, would lead to something bigger than either of them could imagine. The story she never told next few days moved quietly between scenes, lines, and late-night rehearsals. Outside, the world was noisy cars' headlines, deadlines, but inside, something delicate was unfolding. Anna had started writing again. Every night, after the camera stopped rolling and her makeup was off, she would sit by the small lamp in her trailer and fill page after page in that worn-out notebook. She didn't tell anyone, not even her assistant, who usually noticed everything. But somehow, Keanu knew. He could see it in the way she walked, more steady, more thoughtful. And he could feel it in the air between them whenever they crossed paths on set. They didn't speak much, but their silences held more than most people's conversations. On a rainy afternoon, shooting was delayed. The sky outside the studio turned gray, and people took shelter under tents and trailers. Keanu found himself sitting under a canopy, sipping black coffee from a paper cup. He looked out at the rain, lost in thought, when he heard soft footsteps behind him. Do you have a minute? It was Anna. She held something wrapped in a piece of cloth. Of course, he said. Sliding over on the bench, she sat beside him and handed him the bundle. I wanted to show you something. Keanu unwrapped the cloth slowly. Inside was the same notebook. Pages filled with small, neat handwriting and sketches in the margins. I've been writing, she said. But this one is the story I never told anyone. Keanu looked up at her. Can I read it? Anna hesitated, then nodded. Double quotes, just the first few pages, she whispered. I don't think I'm ready for the rest to be seen yet. Opened the notebook and began reading. The rain fell gently around them, like a soft background to something sacred. The story began when Anna was 13. It was about a time when she had just moved to a new country, didn't speak the language, and got bullied in school. She wrote about how the teacher would call her by the wrong name on purpose, and how the other kids laughed when she tried to speak. She wrote about the night she locked herself in the bathroom and cried into a towel so no one would hear. She wrote about how she started pretending to be someone else, more confident, more quiet, more perfect, just to be accepted. Keanu single quotes, his eyes stayed on the page. He didn't blink much. Anna's words were raw and honest. She didn't try to make herself look strong in the beginning. Instead, she showed her wounds exactly as they were. But then the tone shifted. She wrote about her mother, how her mother once told her, "You don't need to fit in, you need to shine in your own way." That line changed everything. Anna looked at Keanu as he read. Her hands were shaking a little. She didn't know what he would say when he finally closed the notebook. He didn't speak right away. He looked up at her, eyes serious but warm. Anna, he said quietly, this is not just a story. It's a gift. And not just to me, anyone who's ever felt invisible. Anna looked down, unsure. You really think it's worth sharing? Keanu nodded. Absolutely. You didn't just survive. You turned your pain into something that could heal others. Not everyone can do that. Anna felt tears gather in her eyes, not because she was sad, but because she finally felt seen. As an actress, not as a face on a poster, but as a human being. I still don't know how to share it, she said. I'm afraid people won't care, or worse, that they'll judge me. Keanu looked out at the rain, then back at her. You. Don't share it for them. You share it for the girl in the bathroom, with the towel in her hands. Yeah. You share it for the next person who thinks they're alone. Anna bit her lip, holding back emotion. You always know what to say. Not always, Keanu said, with a small smile. But sometimes, the right people bring the right words out of us. They sat in silence again. The rain kept falling, soft and steady. Keanu handed the notebook back to her, wrapped it carefully in the cloth. "When you're ready," he said, "let me help you tell this story. Not as a producer, not as an actor, just as a friend." Ina looked at him, really looked. "You would do that for me?" "Of course," he said. "Your voice matters. And sometimes, and we all need someone to help us speak louder." She held the notebook close, like it was a part of her. "Thank you, Keanu, for believing in me before I could believe in myself." He didn't say anything more. Didn't need to. They both sat there as the rain slowed to a drizzle. A quiet moment between two people who understood something deeper than words. And somewhere, in that moment, a seed was planted. Something new, something real, not a project, not a performance, but a journey. One that neither of them had planned for, but both of them were ready to take. The affair a week passed. And in that time, something shifted. Anna was no longer hiding her notebook. She carried it openly, sometimes tucked under her arm, sometimes open on her lap as she scribbled ideas between scenes. She didn't talk about it much, but she didn't hide it either. It became a part of her, like her breath, like her truth. Keanu watched her from a distance. He didn't push. He knew what it meant to carry something personal, so close. He also knew the world needed what Anna was writing. And maybe, deep down, she knew it too. One evening, after a late shoot wrapped under studio lights, Keanu stayed behind while most of the cast left. He walked to his car but didn't get in. He stood there, thinking, then turned around and headed back to the production office inside. He met with a woman named Diane, one of the project producers. She was tough but fair, always focused on schedules and budgets. Keanu had known her for years. "Can I talk to you about something off the record?" he asked. She raised an eyebrow. "With you, it's always something meaningful. Sit down." Explained everything about Anna's story, the notebook, the impact of her words, and how he believed it could become more than just private pages. "What are you saying?" Diane asked. "I want to help her turn it into something real," Keanu said. "A short film, or maybe even a docu-style series. It's just honest storytelling. No big drama, no fake polish. Just her voice." Diane leaned back in her chair, thoughtful. "Do you think she's ready for that?" "I don't know," he said. "But I think it could help more people than we realize. And I think she needs to know that her pain isn't just a wound, it's a light." Diane didn't answer right away. Then she picked up her phone. "Bring her in," she said. The next morning, Anna walked into the production office with cautious steps. She didn't know why she had been called in. When she saw Keanu sitting there, she gave him a puzzled look. "What's going on?" she asked. Diane smiled gently. "Keanu told me about your writing and about what you've been through." Anna froze. Her first instinct was to run. "He told you only what you already trusted him with," Diane said. "And he told me because he believes in you. And now, so do I." Anna sat down slowly. "I don't want to be in the spotlight," she said. "Not like this. Not for something so personal." Keanu leaned forward. "You won't be alone," he said. "We'll do this the way you want. Soft, honest, quiet if needed. Your story, your pace, no pressure." Anna looked at the both of them, unsure. "Why does this matter so much to you?" she asked Keanu. He paused. "Because I've seen what happens when people bury their truth. It eats away at them. I've seen what happens when they share it. It becomes a bridge." Anna swallowed. Her hands gripped the arms of the chair. "What would it look like?" Diane smiled. "Just a camera, a quiet room. You telling your story? In your words, no scripts, no edits. We let it breathe. We let people feel what you felt." Anna's voice was barely a whisper. "What if no one listens?" Keanu looked into her eyes. "Then at least you spoke. That's already more than—" Most Anna looked at the floor thinking, then slowly nodded. "Double quotes, okay?" she said. "I'll do it. But only if you're with me." Keanu smiled. "I'm right here." The first day of filming was simple. One camera, one chair. A quiet room lit by soft daylight. Anna sat down in front of the lens, breathing slowly. There was no makeup, no crew crowding her. Just Diane sitting, Quietly in the corner, and Keanu standing behind the camera, not as a director, but as her anchor.ana, began speaking, not with a script, not with memorized words. She just told the truth. She spoke about being 13. She spoke about being told she didn't belong. She spoke about the night she cried into the towel, how one sentence from a stranger changed the course of her life. Her voice trembled at times. She paused, cried, laughed quietly, but she never stopped, and by the end of it, the room was silent. Keanu stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did it," said Anna, nodded, double quotes, "I did." Diane wiped a tear from her eye. "We're going to show this to the world," she said, "and not because it's perfect, or because it's real." Anna looked down at her hands. "Do you think it'll help someone?" Keanu answered, without hesitation. "It already has." They didn't know what would happen next. They didn't know how the world would react. But they knew one thing. Anna's story had finally been given space to live. And sometimes, that's how healing begins. Not with noise, not with applause, but with truth. And the people who believe in it. The World Response video was uploaded without any grand announcement. No trailer, no promotional post, no press release. It was simply titled, "A Story I Never Told." It was 23 minutes long. Just Anna in a chair, her voice quiet but steady, her eyes full of pain and courage. The description was one sentence. "This is for anyone who's ever been made to feel like they don't belong." Anna didn't check the video after it went live. She turned off her phone and spent the morning walking through a nearby park where no one knew her face. She needed space. Not from the world, but from her own fear. Keanu, however, stayed at home that day. He sat on the floor of his living room, legs crossed, watching the comment section grow in real time. At first it was slow. A few comments, "This broke me, I felt every word. I wish I could hug her," then a sudden wave. Within the hour it spread across social media like wildfire. People began reposting clips, quoting her lines, creating hashtags like #IsTayed2 and #AnnaSpeech.Keanu single quotes. Eyes watered as he read a comment from a woman in Brazil. "I watched this alone. On my bathroom floor. Thank you, Anna. You've saved a stranger today." By sunset, Anna returned to her apartment and turned her phone back on. It lit up with dozens of missed calls, messages, and tags. Her hands trembled as she opened her browser. The video had over 3 million views. Her inbox was full of letters. People from every corner of the world had written paragraphs, pages, pouring out their own truths in response to hers. Her hands covered her mouth, her eyes filled. It was too much, too real then. Came a message that stopped her breath. It was from a girl named Leela. 15 years old, "I was going to end everything today. But then I saw your video. I stayed. Thank you." Anna dropped the phone and broke into tears. But they weren't the same tears from before. These were different. These were healing. Next morning, Keanu knocked on her door. She opened it with red eyes and a soft smile. "You saw it?" she asked. He nodded. "I saw everything." "I don't know what to do," she whispered. "I wasn't ready for this." "You didn't have to be ready," he said. "You just had to be real, and you were." Anna stepped aside, letting him in. They sat together at her kitchen table, drinking tea, the silence warm between them. "Do you think I should respond to the messages?" she asked. Keanu looked thoughtful. "Maybe not all," he said. "But maybe one. Just one. To start." Anna nodded slowly. "Then I know the one I want to answer." Later that day, Anna sat with her notebook and wrote a reply to Lila. It wasn't long. It's just a simple note from one heart to another, Lila. "I don't know your full story, but I know how heavy life can feel. I stayed because someone said one kind sentence to me, and now you stayed because of mine. That means something. That means we're stronger than we think. You're not alone." The week passed. News outlets picked up the story. Actress breaks silence, Ana de Armas speaks truth, and millions respond. Keanu Reeves supports emotional new. Project people were surprised, not by Anna's story, but by how deeply it resonated. It wasn't just a celebrity speaking, it was a human. Reaching out, the studio called offers came in. Invitations to speak. Book deals, interviews. Anna refused most of them. I didn't share this to become famous, she told Keanu. Shared it so someone out there could breathe again. Keanu understood then. Let's make sure it stays true to that. One day, as they walked together through a quiet bookstore, Anna stopped in front of a shelf marked True Stories. She ran her fingers along the spines, then looked up at him. Do you think this could ever be one of them? Keanu smiled. I think it already is. You just haven't written the ending yet. Anna nodded. Then maybe it's time I do. That evening, she went home and opened a blank page, not in the notebook, but on a laptop. The first line she typed was, "Some stories are not meant to entertain. They are meant to remind us that we're not broken, we're becoming as the..." Words flowed. She felt a peace she hadn't known before. The pain was still there, but now it had a purpose. And somewhere across the world, others were writing too, lighting candles, choosing to stay, speaking up, because of one story. Because she chose to be brave. The final Paghethy winter air was soft that morning, brushing against the windows like a quiet memory. Anna stood by the edge of her balcony, a warm cup of tea in her hands, staring out at the slow-moving clouds. The city below was waking up unaware. Of the final chapter she was about to write, the past few weeks had been overwhelming, but beautiful. She had cried, laughed, doubted herself, believed again, and through it all, Keanu had stayed by her side. Never pushing, never rushing, just showing up, quietly, faithfully. Her story had traveled the world. Schools played her video in classrooms. Counselors used her words to open hard conversations. Young artists started sharing their own stories. Online using the hashtag is #TayEd2.Anna couldn't believe the change, not outside, but within herself. That afternoon, Keanu picked her up in his old black car. They were heading to a small studio, where Anna would finish recording the last piece of her story for a documentary they decided to release independently. Nervous? He asked, glancing over at her as they drove. A little, she said. But it's a good kind of nervous. Like stepping on stage for the first time, Keanu said with a small smile. Or handing someone a letter you never thought you'd give, she added. He looked at her and smiled wider. That letter changed everything, Anna nodded. Still remember how heavy it felt in my hands. And now, I feel lighter. Like I finally let go of something I didn't know I was carrying. Keanu pulled into the parking lot and parked the car, ready to finish it. Yes, Anna said softly. Ready to begin something new. Inside the studio, the setup was simple, just as she wanted. One chair, one camera, one microphone. Anna sat down, took a deep breath, and looked straight into the lens. I used to think being strong meant staying silent, holding it all inside, pretending I was okay. But now I know strength is honesty. It's letting the world see your cracks and still choosing to stand anyway. She paused. If you're listening to this and you feel like you don't belong, like you're not enough, please know you do belong. Know you are enough. Not when you fix everything. It's not when you become perfect, but right now, just as you are. Her eyes welled up, but she didn't look away. I stayed because someone gave me hope, and now I want to pass that hope to you. So if you're thinking of walking away from your dream, or from life itself, please stay. The world is better with you in it, and you are not alone. She ended the recording with one final line. This is not the end of my story. It's just the moment I decided to live it out loud. After they left the studio, Keanu and Anna walked through a quiet neighborhood park. The sky above was pale gold, with streaks of soft pink brushing the horizon. You were incredible, Keanu said, hands in his pockets. I just told the truth, Anna replied. That's why it was incredible. They sat on a bench under a leafless tree. Anna reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small folded paper. I wrote something else, she said. Keanu looked surprised. Another letter, kind of, she smiled, but this one's for you. He took it slowly, opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten note. Keanu, You saw me when I was invisible. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You never asked for anything, but you gave me everything. Thank you for staring." And Aquino stared at the note, silent. For a moment, then he folded it gently and placed it into his coat. "I'll keep this," he said, "for the rest of my life." Anna looked at him. "You saved me." He looked back. "You saved yourself. I just reminded you of your light." Sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow over both of them. For a moment, they said nothing. They didn't need to. Everything had already been said in the quiet things: the letter, the voice, the tears, the hope. Anna leaned her head gently on Keanu's shoulder. "Do you think people ever heal completely?" she asked. Keanu thought for a moment, then replied, "I think healing isn't about being complete. It's about being real, loving yourself, even when you're still mending." Anna smiled. "Then maybe I'm healing." "You are," he said. "And your story will help others heal too." As the wind moved through the trees above them and the world continued around them, Anna knew something had changed. Not because she became famous. It's not because the world clapped, but because she finally found peace and chose to live. Not as a perfect person, but as a whole one. And in the end, that was the most powerful story she could ever tell.